Hello there. Hi, welcome to Joyful Business TV. I am Laura West. I'm the CEO and intuitive business coach at joyfulbusiness.com. And I'm so glad you're here. I've got someone I want to share with you that I think you're really going to love. Um, so let me tell you a little bit about Joyful Business and Joyful Business TV, and then we'll dive right in. So for over 20 years, I have been working with coaches and consultants, conscious business owners, helping them to discover and claim their soul work. You know, that deeper work that only you are meant to do with your unique, beautiful brilliance and gifts and talents and expertise. Um, and um, and that you're meant to work with certain people, with what I call your soul tribe. And that deeper work that you do, it changes lives. It changes lives. It creates that positive ripple in the world. And so we really focus here at Joyful Business on liberating your power, your voice, opening up that confidence and conviction in a way so that you can show up that feels natural. It feels like you are sharing your gifts with the world, and it's a really positive thing. All right, so that's what we talk about here. And I want to bring someone to you, introduce someone to you that I think you really are going to enjoy. I feel like it's a big treat. Um, this is a friend of mine that I've met a few years ago and a colleague. Her name is Lisa Michaels. We're so glad that she's able to join us today. And I really think she's gonna get you thinking about business in a whole new way. So let me tell you a little bit officially about Lisa. She is an intuitive leadership mentor. She has been inspiring leaders to intentionally align with the forces and the rhythms of nature. Don't you just love that? Intentionally align with the forces and rhythms of nature. She loves sharing her secrets to help forward-thinking visionaries dynamically increase their intuition and their creation abilities. She is on a mission to support entrepreneurs and leaders to master the skills of nature, nourished wisdom, and conscious business development in order to collectively create a more sustainable world. Oh my gosh, doesn't that sound fabulous? Fabulous. I want to hear more about it. Welcome, Lisa.
Oh, Laura, it is such a delight to be with you here today. Oh my goodness. And hello to everybody watching. We're super excited to be sharing today.
Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. Well, I just want to dive right into this piece around the rhythms and nature and this approach to business. That wasn't how I was going to start off. I was going to start off talking about more of your history, but to me, having come off of attending a whole bunch of retreats in various nature all around the world and leading a couple of retreats, I just know like that is so incredibly important. And so I'm curious, tell me what it is, explain it, and then we'll talk about how it came about.
Actually, I am going to start with my history, which is where this really begins.
Right?
So I was a ballet teacher and I had a 500 pupil ballet school. So I'd studied patterns and rhythms and how things, work in the dance world for years and years. And I was kind of in between leaving the school and kind of what was next. And I was staying out in California. I was living in Georgia at the time with a spiritual mentor of mine. And I said to her one night before I went to sleep, I said, I have been studying all these different things that as a dance teacher who understands patterns, I don't see how they fit together. So
Mhm.
I'd been studying, nature-based spirituality. I'd been studying, a vibration and sound and emotional work and, movement, like all these things. I'm like, how do they fit together? I woke up the next morning with an instantaneous download
Mm.
that I'd been studying the elemental forces of creation and how they function in your consciousness. I've been studying earth path, water path, air path, fire path, and spirit. And I'm like, okay, that's really interesting. I'm glad to know what it is.
Fascinating.
Well, right. So
Mhm.
then I'm like working with this for about 6 months for myself. And I mean, it's vast. I mean, these are the forces of creation. This is a huge body of work. And so about 6 months later, and this was in 1999, So we're talking a long time now here.
Before your time. Mhm.
Yeah, well, and then I was like, I need to start teaching this, my guidance says. So I began teaching this body of work, and it literally was about taking people out into nature. But it's not just going out into nature, it is going out into nature and making a conscious connection. So when you're working with earth, you're like really connecting to the earth realm. You're really connecting to how the seasons flow, to what her rhythms are, to, and it's unique in a place. I mean, you're near the beach now. So how you connect to the land where the beach is different to how you connect in the land of trees like Georgia. It's a little bit different.
Yes.
But how Earth structure informs anything is also how Earth functions in your physical body. Like your body is literally the container for your personal experience of those elemental forces. But also in your business, if you understand how Earth works, if you understand her principles, if you know how to work with her, you know how to structure and form a business.
Mm.
You know how to structure and form a product. You know how to structure and form a podcast that you put out, a TV series, a retreat, because the capacity to structure and form works in the same way. And
Oh,
that's true for every element.
for
And
every
so
element.
I've for every element. So water's all about emotional flow. You know as well as I do, if a business owner emotions are out of sync with what she wants to create, like if she's running some old childhood trauma,
Mhm.
or disappointment is one of the easy ones to get trapped in as a business owner.
That
If you're
is one that is very, very popular, so to speak, very common, very common. The disappointment, regrets, that fear of disappointing. Yes. Mhm.
and when that's the undercurrent of what you're creating on top of, then you just get more of it,
Mhm.
which is really difficult for people. So they have to learn how to move through those feelings and consciously choose what emotional energy they want to magnetize from.
Mhm. Right.
So air's the mental realm. It's the vibration and sound and the marketing words we choose. That's all got a tone to it. But air's invisible. You don't see it. So you don't understand the impact of how the vibrational message that you send across, like how that frequency is impacting what you're doing.
Mhm.
And fire is about how you build momentum, how you heat things up, how you stand in your visibility. And spirit is soul, just like you talk about with your business, Laura. It's perfect.
Mhm.
Doing your soul work is what is so important. So I've been working with all of those for a really long time.
I just love it. I find it fascinating. I've always found the elements fascinating in so many different ways. I remember having a client, and then she became a really good friend, and she taught fashion feng shui, and she brought in the 5 elements, and you picked out your clothing based on your essence, knowing your essence, elemental essence, and elemental intentions. And I can hear some of that in what you're talking about. And I think we need these lenses, right? These different ways
Yeah.
of looking at business, because the world, I mean, as we know, the world is just changing so fast, so
Yeah.
rapidly. And we
Yeah.
need some of these core ways of looking at how we show up in business and how we create, as you're talking about, in a different way, in a way that it feels more, I can just feel like it feels more healthier and more wise and ancient rather than something new and trendy.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
what is when people learn about the elements and how it's showing up, not showing up, how it's, underneath driving their businesses, like what's possible for them? Like what changes for them?
Well, a lot of different things can change for them. One is as you work with the elements really consciously, you start to activate their powers, and they have different powers that you can apply to whatever you're doing. I mean, earth is the ability, the first level power is the ability to stand on your own. That doesn't mean not in relation to other people, but as a business owner, feeling confident enough to stand on your own in the outer world and do business is a
Mhm.
huge thing. So working with the elements and applying their principles can make a very big difference in your results.
Mhm.
But the other thing is, each of the elements, and we're going just a little bit further out here, each of the elements actually subdivides into archetypal energies. And so when you understand how those archetypal energies and how those elements work in your unique makeup, it
Mhm.
helps you to know what your innate prosperity powers are and how to alchemize those so that you're really bringing your special gifts to the forefront, because not everybody's the same.
Mhm.
Not everybody creates abundance the same way. It depends on, are you a little bit more earthy or fiery? Have you got a lot of water or have you got a lot of air? You know, those things matter when it comes to choices that you're making in your business and how you're driving it forward, because it's not one size fits all.
I yes, I love what you're saying. I'm so um I have just seen over the years, it's like the formulas, they give you some structure to lean into, but they don't work for everyone. And what worked for one
No,
person doesn't work necessarily for another person. And so we absolutely need ways of, when we talk about being authentic, that's so common to talk about these days, being authentic in business. But like, what does that really mean? And what kind of permission do we need to give ourselves? Because it's going to look different for you than it does for me, even though we might have some similarities in our messages. It looks so wildly different. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I love
Absolutely.
that. And I'm really curious, like prosperity powers. Tell me about that. What are prosperity powers?
So seriously, I was actually even having a conversation with my husband about this morning, because I've studied something called shamanic astrology for many years, and I apply that to how somebody actually uses their, what I call their creation team. It's all those inner archetypal energies.
Mhm.
Well, based on what those energies are and how you actually work with them determines what your kind of prosperity power is. So I'm going to just take myself for an
Mhm.
example. I have a Virgo inner feminine. So Virgo is one of the three earth signs, which means I'm very grounded, but I have lots of other energies. So when we talk about your creation team, we're talking about a group of inner archetypes.
Right. Right.
But as a woman, if I am not fully aligned when I'm creating prosperity with that inner feminine energy, I am going to have a problem.
Mhm.
And I was talking about it, and I said, I really recognize that the times in my life when I really was in alignment with that energy, I had way more ease with prosperity flowing.
Mhm.
When I got out of alignment with that, when I tried to follow some outer world things or work with a different part of who I am leading the way, I got myself into more of a struggle mode.
Right.
So coming back to that deep alignment. So the way that this particular earth energy expresses is, she is very in tune and aligned with the natural world. But when it comes to financial flow, this archetypal energy needs to be very detailed, very mindful. That's only one of 12 possible expressions of that. So somebody else if they try to be mindful, they're just going to be beating their head against the wall. So their prosperity power isn't found there, or like isn't centered in that. And it also depends on what the other energies are that you actually carry in that group of archetypal energies.
Mm, I love it. I love bringing in archetype and the energies and the elements and nature. It's like the rhythms. You're speaking my language. This is good. Yeah, this is great. And it's so different, than, here's your funnel, here's your formula, go figure out the blueprint. All that, can be helpful, but
Yeah.
not to start there. Like if I learn that, that's the secret to success. To me, it's like the secret to success is here, locked inside us that we want to bring out. And I love that you have this unique way of being able to understand and work with your creation energies. Beautiful.
Well, when you start there, and when you start with knowing who you are and how you uniquely create prosperity, then when you apply things such as what level are you as an entrepreneur, then you can develop what kind of strategy is very clearly going to grow your business. But if you don't start there,
Right.
then you're going to struggle with like trying to apply, like a lot of people try to apply a strategy where they're trying to scale
Right.
long before they're ready to
Way before they
scale.
even know who they are and who their people are.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And it
Yeah.
just like, don't go put a product out in the world if nobody knows who you are yet. You're going to spend a lot of money and not make any money.
Right.
So
Right.
you need a
And
value strategy and not a leverage strategy. Sorry,
yeah.
what were you going to say?
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that because I know what you're referring to are those different levels of being able to, look at who you are and then where is your business, and
Yep.
to me, I hear you bringing them in as two entities, which I think is very important. Like it's like yourself, but then there is where's your business, and I always talk about the soul of
Yep.
your business and the practical.
Yep.
Where's your business, so that you're using the right strategy, the right tool, just like you would when you're
Exactly.
building a house, right? It's like the right tool
Exactly.
for what it is you're trying to create. So,
Exactly.
very beautiful. Well, I hear so much like in-depth passion and commitment. And so I'm curious, how has that shown up for you in your life? Like how, because it's very obvious that you've wrapped your business, your life around following your passion, really being on purpose. And, I'm curious, what was, have you always been like that, or did that come up as something happened, or kind of what is your relationship with passion and purpose?
Well, I think I started off kind of stubbornly refusing to do anything I didn't like. So
Mm.
I kind of have been connected to my passion. I mean, really, my first successful business was that 500 pupil ballet school. And I
Mhm.
mean, I taught dance teachers and I developed syllabi for dance teachers. Like I did a lot of things in that world. And then when I made the transition to doing personal development, I was still like committed to doing what I loved. So
Right,
I
right.
did. And then it was like time, and we really met when I was in that window of like, I'm finished doing that in that way. Not that I've like abandoned everything, but I'm complete with that. And now it's time for the third iteration of what I'm going to do. What's that going to be? I didn't know for a long time. I was just following what I felt like brought me flow during that time. Where was I excited? What did I want to do? My passion.
Yeah.
What is like tickling my fancy? And then all of those things came together with, yes, this body of work develops people and I want to see it out there. So I licensed a lot of that out to other people to facilitate those workshops I developed. And it's like, now I'm going to work with leaders and entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
I really want to take all that I've learned from those two businesses and all I've learned with studying further as I went along and really help entrepreneurs and leaders take, and I say and leaders because there's some people that I've worked with and really made a difference for. They're working for other businesses they're not necessarily entrepreneurs, but they are definitely leaders. So that combination,
Right.
sometimes they may own their own business and sometimes they may be working with others, but they're in a leadership position. And when they know themselves and they connect to their passion, they get to thrive and make a bigger and bigger impact in the world.
Right. Right. Yeah. I love this. You can hear your passion. And I love the evolution. That's something we talk about a lot, is the evolution, that it's so
Yep.
often we think we get the vision and that this is going to be the thing, the end all be all thing. And it's, life is a journey, just our lives are journeys. So our business has a life too. And there is an evolution, like you said, of going from the ballet studio to the personal work, the personal growth work, personal development work, to now helping leaders and visionaries and entrepreneurs.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
yeah. And I just absolutely love the rebel that shows up that says, I've just always done what I love. I can't help it.
It's true. It's true.
And,
It's true.
not everybody has that mentality. Most of the people who are watching this, though, they're like, yay, they love to hear someone who's successful and see someone who's successful. And that's what, because that's what I do. It's like, I can't not do that. I've spent too many years in corporate where I was kind of doing what I loved, but not in an environment that I loved. And so then, yeah, entrepreneurship's kind of that right environment to have that creativity and freedom. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I've been steeped in creativity and freedom almost my entire working career. I never actually went into corporate. There's been times when I was like, maybe I should have at least done it so I would have a reference point, but I never did.
Yeah.
Except
Yeah.
for early on, when I check groceries in a grocery store, I don't really think that counts. But
Right. Yeah, I understand. So I'd love to hear some things. One of the things we talk about is um, conscious business, and conscious marketing strategies, and be really intentional, not just following what the latest trend is in growing your business and marketing your business, but really like what works for, we're talking about what works for you, but I'm curious about how do you apply that towards marketing and like for your own business, what works for you and how do you apply conscious marketing ideas to that?
it's a really, really big and good question. So I've done both things. I really have. And what I've finally come to really know is that no matter what choices you make around conscious marketing, they have to center first from your heart. Like if
Mm,
it doesn't come from your soul and your heart, you're out of alignment and people feel that. Like
right.
they know that and they are not attracted to that. And there's like you can market and say all of the words you
Yes.
want to, but it won't make any difference.
Yes. To me, that feels like the work,
It
that
is the
most of
work.
the creative work is on connecting to my heart and soul and like, how do I express that um, versus let me study the right way, because it just falls on deaf ears.
And and I'm going to take dance as an example here because if you are a trained dancer, that means you've learned skills about how to structurally move in a particularly coordinated way.
Mhm.
That's what learning entrepreneurial skills can help you to do.
Right.
But if you're only a technician as a dancer and you don't dance from your soul, there's no life in it.
Mm.
And you could just be a free form dancer and just like express your soul all day long. But if you don't have any structural form that those additional entrepreneurial skills can help you to do, you might hit your target once in a while, but you
Mhm.
don't know how to consistently hit your target.
Consistently.
which is kind of the same thing as go up on one leg and turn around 5 times. You know, that takes time to learn to do.
Right.
So I think it's really this great balance between having that soul connection and some skills,
Yes.
and not just skills and no connection.
Yes. And not just
They
the
both help.
strategy
Yeah.
skills without the heart and the creative expression.
No,
the
right,
alignment.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
then nothing happens too.
Yeah.
So both are important. It's the outer and the inner for sure.
I love that. I love that. I believe that too. It's like we need soul and strategy together. And
Soul and strategy, that's good.
yeah. Yeah. It's like one without the other. It's like it doesn't work. And I love that example of the dancer. I can get that visual in my head. Thank you for that. Yeah. So I would love to hear so many things I want to ask, but I'm curious about your own way that you connect. You talked at the beginning about guidance led you here. Guidance said this to you. So I'm curious, what are your ways of connecting with guidance? What works for you? I know it's different for different people, but I love to share different examples because it gives people permission to realize there's different ways to access that guidance and that belongs in business, right?
Yeah, yeah. So for me, and I'll talk about nature in just a minute because that's a key component, but I really did a process in 1997 that helped me develop my intuition really powerfully. And I facilitated that same process for years and years and years. I decided to activate the archetype of the priestess within in 1997. One of the most significant things I've ever done, made the most difference in deepening my intuition.
Mm.
That intuition functions on all of those same levels that I was talking about earlier with the elemental forces. There's physical intuition. There's emotional intuition.
Mm.
There's mental intuition, ideas that you can use in your business. There's action intuition, knowing when is the right time to act, when is the time that you instinctively feel to take something to the marketplace. There's soul intuition, like my soul is calling to bring this forth right now.
Mhm.
So I tap into those different levels of intuition when I'm working. And when I'm just getting my life guidance too. I mean, I'm not just talking about just business, but my life and my businesses have been so interwoven that
Yes.
kind of speaking to one speaks to the other a lot of the time. But I spend time in nature. Like just the other day, I went out and it's like, I just have to sit on the ground for a while.
Mm.
And so I just laid there, sat there, and I'm telling you, it made such a difference to the rest of my day. I didn't like do anything. I didn't like write in my journal, which I often do. I just sat and laid. But sometimes I garden. Sometimes one of the best things I can do to get guidance is go pull weeds.
Right. Right.
You know?
Yes. Yes.
So it's a
That sort of
combination of
repetitive,
things.
mindless, but
Yep.
getting your hands dirty and getting in nature. Yes,
Yep.
it makes such a difference.
I
Yeah.
mean, even going for a walk, like a lot of times I'll take a piece of paper and a pen and go off on a walk. And because I work with the living field of creation that flows to the natural world, like I open for that. I'll take a question out there and go for a walk and just start walking. Like you say,
Mhm.
the repetitive motion. And then I'll get like, okay, here's the answer. Here's the
That
answer.
one.
Here's the answer.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Well, I will see you on that walk with my piece of paper and pen as well, or doing my notes in my phone,
yep, yep,
because it does, it comes, it
it
does. When
absolutely does.
you're outside, to me, it's like the wisdom of our business, the answers we seek, the solutions are
Absolutely.
there. Yeah, it's connecting. So I love that. I love that. Thank you
Yep.
for sharing that. Well,
No.
there's so much I would love to continue talking about. I know that those who are listening and watching would love to know more. Can you tell them a little bit, like, how do they find out more about you?
Well, they can go to my website, lisa-michaels.com, and there's a download gift about, connecting your intuition to all these realms I just talked about. So you can download that and stay connected. And I'd love to hear that you saw me on Laura's show so I can pass it along and tell her.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I love that. So great. Thank you so, so much for coming today and just being your brilliant, beautiful self and sharing what is truly, you can tell, is your soul work with everyone. And yeah, I just adore what you're up to, and I love your unique approach, and just know how valuable it is. So it's incredible.
Thank you, Laura. It's great to be here with you today.
Yeah, great. Well, we're going to wrap up for today. And thank you all for being here at Joyful Business TV, and stay tuned for next week and our next episode. Thank you for watching this episode of Joyful Business TV. I want to invite you to get more creative strategies and support for growing your business. You can start right now by activating your abundance mindset with a really powerful creative visualization that will help you get into the universal abundance current, one of my favorite things to do. And you'll also get a companion 7-day journal that will help you create a daily habit of co-creating with the universe. These are 2 powerful resources that you can get started right now to help grow your business and activate that abundant mindset. You just go over to activateabundancegift.com.